They tell us it's one of the world's biggest fears out there. And I suffered with this myself really badly. I would say I'm probably one of the most fearful people in the world at public speaking and presenting. I now speak around the stage. It's what I do. It's the main thing that I actually do, is present and speak at conferences around the world for some of the biggest brand names in the world. And that transformation was just a step-by-step process for me that I'm starting to share with people. So in this short video, I'm going to share with you what are the first 3, 4 or 5 main things that you need to consider and think about in order to transform your confidence in public speaking. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Mark Rhodes and welcome back to Massively Improve, the channel that helps you to massively improve with personal development techniques and ideas that are easy to do. So yeah, this week a little bit different because I'm for the first time really mainly speaking about massively improving in the area of public speaking and presenting. It's a topic that I'm really passionate about because of my own transformation, as I say, from being one of the most scared people in the world to not even get nervous. Look forward to it. Look at my stopwatch, 5 seconds less in this presentation and I'm disappointed it's going to be over soon. And that is how my life is today. Yesterday I spoke at a teachers conference and 120 people in the room. I loved it. I looked forward to it. I was excited about it. I was disappointed when it was over, but the biggest buzz that I got yesterday was when I finished. And again, like after every single talk I do, I go, wow, I never would have done that before. I would never have done that before. So now, when I'm helping people in this area or talking about this area, it's all about this phrase, you know, how to deliver talks and presentations that your audience will love and you'll enjoy doing. For me, that's the holy grail. How do you deliver presentations and talks your audience will love and you'll enjoy doing? And so much so that the reason I'm actually making this video this week, towards the end of November 2018, is because my book on this subject is coming out, How to Present to Absolutely Anyone. And I just thought, well, what a great time to actually start sharing some of these tips, not least because in the book I've promised and given a link to some videos on public speaking and presenting. So that was a great sort of motivating factor for me to get this video done as well, to kick this area off. But next week we'll be back to the more mainstream personal development ideas and things as well, and occasionally dipping in on the public speaking side of things. So yes, the first thing to improve in doing talks and presentations, and this is huge and so simple, because it means you've got to do less than what you're probably trying to do when you present or give talks at the moment. The first thing you've got to do is be yourself. That's where most people go wrong. You see, unless you're going to be a politician or something like that, for most presentations, in most situations, and I've helped people in education, banks, finance, creativity, every single area, every single industry, I've helped people with public speaking and presentations. And in all of those situations, even if they've been huge conferences, at the end of the day, what the audience want is for the presenter to be themselves. Too many people have a problem with public speaking and presenting because they think when they go to the front of the room, they've got to become someone else. Now, I always say to people, if something was to happen in your life, let's say for instance, and if you don't drive, you can just imagine this scenario, that you're driving along in your car, you break down, you call the recovery service, they come, but they're late. Then eventually they say, well, we've sent the wrong truck because we need different equipment. So then they send the right truck, and then they say we're going to have to take you and your car to a garage. And on the way there, the truck breaks down. And so this turns into a whole nightmare. Now, it doesn't have to be about a car. It could be about a product you've bought, you've tried to return it. But a whole nightmare has developed around something going on in your life. When you go back to family and friends and you start telling people about what happened to you, you become the world's best storyteller. And that's the person, that's the you that has got to do those presentations. That's the person you've got to take to the front of the room. People just keep reading 101 tips on how to present better, and then they get confused. They think they're doing things wrong. Oh, I've put my hand in my pocket. Oh, I've done this wrong. I've done that wrong. At the end of the day, the biggest thing you can do is to be yourself. The second big thing to do is to get your mindset right. The biggest problem I had whenever I thought about doing talks and presentations is I'd start thinking about everything going wrong and think about what I didn't want to happen. I didn't want to be nervous. I didn't want the audience to hate it. I didn't want them to think I looked nervous or sounded nervous, and all of these sort of things. But when I switched and started thinking about what I did want, that's when the change started to happen. So we have to force ourselves, because if we start thinking about any topic, our mind just snowballs on that and gives us more and more information on it. So if we start thinking of all the reasons why we don't want to do the presentation, all the things that could go wrong, our mind's going to come up with loads and loads of things, and we're going to feel worse and worse and worse about it. But if we can force ourselves to stop that, just stop it, and start thinking about if it went well, how it could go well. Wouldn't it be great if it went well? Let's play pretend in my mind for a minute and think about it going well, and imagine me front of the room delivering it and the audience loving it. Gradually you'll start to feel better, and you'll have ideas about, well, what can I do to make it go well? Well, here are a few things you can do to make it go well. Number one, plan. Plan what you're going to say. Plan it out in advance, in an order. That sounds simple, I know, but the amount of times people come up to me and say to me, Mark, presentations, I hate them, I'm no good, it's my worst fear. I say to them, when did you do last presentation? I did one a couple of weeks ago. And I say, well, how much planning did you do beforehand? Oh, I'd been really busy, I just threw some slides together the night before. Okay, so you threw some slides together the night before, and now you're a little bit confused and worried as to why the presentation didn't go well. You've got to plan. You've got to plan it out in advance. If you want the result, if you want the perfection or near perfection, it doesn't have to be perfect, far from it, but if you want a great result, you've got to plan it out, and you've got to practice. That's the other thing people don't do, is they don't practice. Do you think that top singers and stars, when they go on stage at their concerts, do you think that's the first time they have ever sung that song? The first time they've ever seen those lyrics? They've practiced that time and time again so they know it word perfect. But you don't have to know your presentation's word perfect. You just have to know the general flow and the sort of things you're going to say and how you're going to say them. And you might have, you know, a script you've written out to try and learn from, but it doesn't matter on the day if you go off the script. And the thing I would urge you to do is do not follow a script. What you need to do if you write a script out, if you practice it, break it down into bullet points and only have those bullet points, the things you're going to talk about and the top tips within. Everything else you'll fill in on the fly based on what you've practiced and rehearsed beforehand and what you already know. If you try to follow a script, what will happen is your mind will naturally have other ideas as you read something. You'll put something else in that isn't in the script because you've had that idea in the moment, and then you'll lose your place in the script, and then you will panic and everything will go wrong. So do not have a script, have bullet points, and do lots of practice beforehand. But importantly, as well as planning, as well as mindset, as well as being yourself, as well as practicing, the content has got to be interesting for the audience. And time and time again people go, yeah, but I talk about this, I can't make it interesting, I can't make it interesting. You just make it interesting by the fact that every time you explain something, a concept or an idea or what happened, you give an example. You give whatever you want to call it, a worked example, or you tell a story about it. When you tell stories, people engage and want to listen. That's been in us from childhood. And I sit down time and time again with people, you know, especially in the professional world, and they go, oh, I'm going to be talking about this legislation, it's so boring, no one will want to listen to it. Well, if you think that, they'll think that. Make it interesting. Yeah, you've got to talk about this act. Yeah, you've got to talk about the clauses in the law or something like that. Then give an example. Say, for instance, let's think about ABC PLC. You know, John Jones is the managing director and Mary is the CEO. And the way they've structured their business is this. Start to tell a story. Add little anecdotes in, you know. Mary's trying to focus on this, but her 3 kids keep calling her up, asking her what time she's going to be home or something. Anything. You put in little anecdotes, little stories for anything. I've never been in a situation with a client, helping them with public speaking, where we can't do a presentation that has great stories or worked examples in them that keep the audience engaged and keep the audience listening. You know, for me, it's about planning, it's about starting with something interesting that captivates the audience, and it's about practice, practice, practice. And more than anything, the one thing that you want to practice so many times is the first 2 or 3 minutes. The first 2 or 3 minutes, you want to have that so nailed down in your head that you know it off by heart. So that when you're introduced or when you get up to do your presentation, you start immediately and you're into your flow because you know that first 2 or 3 minutes. And that first 2 or 3 minutes could be just a general introduction about the talk, but don't make it be about you. I'm just going to tell you at the start, this is what I've done and where I've been. No, start with what are they going to get out of this presentation. Tell them what they're going to get out of the presentation, why it's important to them. You know, if I took the stage to talk about what I'm talking about in this video, it's quite different for me to get up there and go, hi, I'm Mark Rhodes, and today I'm going to talk to you about public speaking and presentations, and I want to tell you that I myself, many years ago, if I start like that, the level of interest and engagement is going to be much lower than if I start with, hey everyone, would you love to deliver presentations that not just your audience loved, but you enjoyed doing? Well, I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that in a safe, easy to do way right here today. So sit back, listen, make notes, because this is all about how to deliver brilliant presentations that your audience are going to love and you're going to enjoy doing them every single time. So it's very different. When you tell an audience up front what they're going to get from this, what the benefit is to them of listening to this, and you've practiced it and you're going to deliver that with passion at the beginning, they're going to be engaged. And then later on you can tell them the other stuff, your background and stuff like that if you want to, if it's relevant, or drip it in at different points. But you've got to be able to do that in a great way. And please avoid 2 of the worst mistakes I see in presentations. The first mistake I see in presentations is with audio-visual equipment, microphones. People come up and the first words they say to start their presentation, can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me at the back? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why don't you actually, before everyone arrives, why don't you get there early, test the mic setup, test it, have someone stand at the back of the room, make sure that the volume levels and everything is correct. Then you can start your presentation straight away if you're having to use a microphone or something like that. The other thing is if you use slides. Now a lot of the time people will see that in my book I talk about not using slides unless it's highly technical or there's particular graphs and charts you need to show. But if you use slides, please do not do what I see time and time again. And one thing is, people are clicking through their slides and they go, oh, don't know why that slide's in there, that's left over from another presentation, that shouldn't be in there. The other thing they do is this, they're partway through their presentation, they realise they're coming to the end of their time slot and they are on slide 50 of 75, and then they're going, oh right, okay, well we haven't got time for this, and they're clicking through all these slides. That is one of the worst things you can do to an audience. It makes it look like you've planned badly, and it also makes it look like they're missing out on content. And why is there a slide in there that isn't supposed to be there? Why are they running out of time and having to flick through loads of slides? Because they haven't planned and because they haven't practiced. If you want the end result, like anything in life, if you want the end result and you want to deliver a great presentation that you are proud of, that you feel good about, and that the audience will love and the audience will enjoy, you've got to plan. You've got to practice. You've got to make it interesting. And you've got to be yourself. I hope you found this useful. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, like below the video. If you're not currently subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and you'll get notified when I release a new video. If there's a bell notification on your device, please hit that as well, and then YouTube will notify you when I release a new video, and it will notify you about every video that I release. I release a new video every Sunday to help you to massively improve. So have a great week.